Hello everybody and welcome to That's Football. Darwin Nunez, flop or not? I say not, and I'll tell you for why on this video. But I do think that, look, Manchester United fan, might be a Chelsea fan, Arsenal fan, Liverpool fan, I do think that we do get locked into what we want to happen. I saw it at the weekend where the foul on Lloris from Callum Wilson, nobody wanted to acknowledge it because they don't like Spurs. But then if it happens to their team at the weekend, they'll say it's a disgrace. We are all swayed by favouritism and bias. But with Darwin Nunez, it'd be very easy for me as a United fan to say he's a flop, he's a rubbish, this, that and the other. But I just genuinely don't think he is. I think he's a player I would love Manchester United to have. I think he's a chance magnet. And I think even the goal he scored in the Champions League with the flicked header, I think under Jurgen Klopp, what he has shown time and time again is that he is a player, a manager that can get more and more out of players. And Darwin Nunez hasn't even done that bad. I think he's got 5 goals in 13 games, 3 in the Premier League and 2 in the Champions League. So it's not flop level, but yeah, I want to get into that. I want to get your thoughts in the comments, obviously, and I want to get into that because for me, Nunez is not a flop, and I'll tell you why he won't be a flop as well, and why we're lost in this world of people wanting something to be the case that isn't, and sometimes that can get swayed on social media when it's not actually true. It's a myth. We'll get into that. But first of all, let me just say today's show is sponsored by Top 11. Get in. I know you've all seen Goldbridge ball in full effect, and Top 11 is where my management journey started. The game runs in full 3D, meaning I can see my awesome tactics come alive on the screen, making me feel more than ever like a real life football manager that could take United back to the glory days. The new 3D does not mean the game has changed though. Top 11 still allows me to have full control over the club, so I can decide not just how to train and develop my team, but also I can control what the kit looks like, how to update my stadium. I can even decide on which type of toilets we've got, so it's really detailed. There's also the 24/7 live transfer market in which you can bid for players. This is where you can build your team and take it to the next level. And finally, as nothing good should be enjoyed alone, Top 11 is a social media game where you can take on your mates and other players from around the world in real time to find out who really is and has the skills to play the Football Manager builds. So what are you waiting for? Hit the link in the description and download it for free today. The link is in the video description to do that. It's free to play football management game on your mobile, on all platforms, iOS, Android, Microsoft, the lot. Get involved. Get it downloaded today and give it a go. It's free to play, so when you're on your train or bus or whatever, or even just late night at bed and you're meant to be asleep, Football Manager game is there for you. Top 11 football management game. Thank you very much. Check it out for free. Scan the QR code as well. So big shout out to Top 11. Let's get on with the show. Look, I really... It's a weird one for me because, as I say, as a Manchester United fan, I would love to just sit here and go, Liverpool have wasted 80 million euros on Darwin Nunez. He's quite clearly going to be a flop. And even against Ajax, there was a missed opportunity. You know what I think it is about Darwin Nunez? Every Man United fan really did want him. He signed for Liverpool and now we want him to flop. That's normal. Of course, it'd be great if he flops because Liverpool won't do very well. But I categorically think he won't flop because I think if you actually know anything about the player, and this is where ignorance and naivety comes in, if you know anything about Darwin Nunez, he's no different this season at Liverpool to what he was at Benfica last year. He missed chances he should have scored last year, and then he scored really good goals. He's still a young striker, early 20s. He's still got a lot to learn, and he's doing it in the pressure cooker environment of Liverpool, but he's doing it with the right manager. He's not Erling Haaland as well. That's very, very, very important. Erling Haaland is sort of capable of being one of the greatest strikers that's ever lived. I don't think Darwin Nunez is that. I think Darwin Nunez, funnily enough, could be another Edison Cavani, who will be respected as a top-class striker, but won't go down as one of the world's best ever strikers. So I think that difference sometimes sways the argument and muddies the waters. Darwin Nunez is not there to compete with Erling Haaland. I remember this happening with United and Arsenal actually in the early noughties. You had Thierry Henry and Van Nistelrooy, and the press and the fans tried to make it into Van Nistelrooy versus Henry. And even as a United fan, I could see that Thierry Henry was on a different level to Van Nistelrooy, who was fantastic. So it's the same thing here. If you are going to judge Darwin Nunez flop or not, you've actually got to look at the player, what his job is, what his age is, and what his capability is. He's not at Man City and he's not Erling Haaland. He's at Liverpool and he's Darwin Nunez. And as I said, 5 goals in 13 games 3 in the Premier League and 2 in the Champions League. All right, it could be better. You know, obviously as your striker, you would like to have him having 10 goals in 13 games, but it's also not flop ability either. It's a striker that's, you know, finding his feet. He doesn't start every game as well. Finding his feet in the team, but I think gradually he's getting better. I think he's getting better and better, and I think that there is still that uncertainty on Klopp's side to how he wants to use him, and there is still that, you know, rawness there in the player. And not every player that's been to Liverpool hits the ground running. Some of them do, some of them don't. But you can guarantee that Klopp wanted this player, and you can guarantee that he's going to keep utilising that player. I also think that what doesn't get borne in mind is it's not Darwin Nunez's fault that Liverpool have had a horrific start to the season. As a new player coming to Liverpool, you want what Haaland's had at Man City. You come into a settled team that knows how to win every game, and you're in a title race. It's not Darwin Nunez's fault that Liverpool have fell off a bit this year. So he comes into the team, it's not as stable or as successful as it was last year, and suddenly people are skirting around looking for what the issue might be. I don't think the issue is Darwin Nunez. I think Liverpool's problem has been more around the midfield and the injuries that they've had. So I think stability is not there in the wider Liverpool team at the moment. So it's obviously going to be very difficult for a new signing to settle in a team that's a little bit unstable at the moment. But I think time will be the key here, and time will be Darwin Nunez and Liverpool's friend, in the sense that I do think he's raw. I do think he's still learning. I do think there's a lot of pressure. But I do think that the patience will be there and the development that will be there from Klopp. And I think over the coming weeks and months, he will get better and better. I would still say that he is, for me, in the top 5 young strikers in world football at the moment that has the potential to go on and be world class in the next 3 or 4 years. As I said, I don't think he's going to be Erling Haaland level, but I do think a replication of his countryman Cavani is more than likely. And I'll keep saying it, even though I don't want it to happen. I'll keep saying it, that I think that Darwin Nunez will end up being a success. And I will also keep saying I'd love him to have signed for Manchester United. And I think that's always the sign of a good player, is that I don't think Arsenal would turn their nose up. I don't think Chelsea would turn their nose up. I don't think Spurs would turn their nose up. And I don't think Manchester United would either. I think he is a striker that we all deep down would take. And obviously he's at Liverpool and we don't want him to succeed, but he's got the lot as well. He's very quick. He is good in the air. He has got a good shot on him, and he has got good link-up play. But I think all those aspects which you want, and he's a very good penalty box player. You know, he's a chance magnet, and that's what I mean. When I say a chance magnet, I mean his movement's fantastic. You don't, as a striker, get loads of shots on goal from luck. And if I'm a manager and I'm watching my striker miss 4 or 5 sitters in one game, it's frustrating, but I'm also going, why is he getting 4 or 5 sitters in a game? His movement must be really good, because it's not easy at the highest level to get those opportunities and find that space, and he's very good at that. I just think there's a general rawness. I still think his finishing needs to be improved on. I think his link-up play, I think his heading, I think his hold-up play, I think his movement. I think every area of his game has got gears. I would describe Darwin Nunez as a gear 3 player. And at his age, some people aren't even in gear 3. I think he's got two more gears to go. And the question is, can he go to gear 5? And can Klopp develop him to gear 5? Well, history would suggest he's in one of the best places to be when it comes to developing a player. So I don't think he's a flop. No, I do not think he's a flop. And I am convinced he will be a success, as much as I would hope not. I think that football's moved on. I think you're always going to get rivalry, tribalism and bias. But I also think that football in the last few years has become more appreciated by the masses in a way where you can have a rival, but you can also assess a rival and players of a rival in a more mature way. And I just don't see this almost immature, naive, Nunez is going to flop. I don't see the evidence for it. Of course, I might be proved wrong in the longer term. Who knows? You never can account for anything's possible. But I don't see the grounds to say he's a flop. I don't see the potential that he's going to be a flop. And technically, I don't think there is even any hint that he is a flop yet. I think there's an adjustment. I think Klopp doesn't quite know what to do with him at the moment. But 5 goals in 13 competitive games for Liverpool ain't bad. It's not bad. It could be better, but it's not bad. And I think Liverpool's problem is a wider issue at the moment, that last year they were sweeping everybody in front of them. And this year, they're just a little bit more vulnerable, and the cracks are starting to show. But I think once Klopp stabilises that ship and gets it back where it should be, I think that will coincide with Klopp really thriving. And Nunez, more importantly. I did see something about Liverpool today that sort of caught my eye as well, about Bruno Guimaraes and Son. I don't think Liverpool are fishing in that pond. I really don't. I mean, I'm not saying that Bruno Guimaraes and Son wouldn't be fantastic signings for Liverpool. I don't see how Liverpool buy a player from Newcastle unless Bruno Guimaraes already wants to hand a transfer request in. And remember, he's not even been there a year yet. So Newcastle have got the financial capability to keep hold of Bruno Guimaraes, and they've also got the potential to be competing with Liverpool. So I don't see that happening. And as for Son, again, I don't know that Liverpool have got the financial capability of spending the money on Son that Spurs would want. I think Son would be a very welcome addition for Liverpool, but I can't see that sort of deal happening. I think Liverpool's recruitment tends to be a little less obvious than that as well. Less obvious than buying Bruno Guimaraes from Newcastle and Son from Spurs. I would be looking at Liverpool recruiting, maybe someone like I think Bella Kotchup at Southampton is going to go to Liverpool. I think that's their next centre-back. I'm convinced about it. But those sort of signings are what Liverpool tend to do and do well. I think Klopp is the master at taking a player at a certain level and then taking them a level above that or two. And his career at Liverpool is riddled with taking a player that's good to world class or decent to top class. He's very good at that. Anyway, get your comments in below. Very interested to see what you think. I'm sure some of you will be saying Nunez will flop, but I'd love to know why you think that's going to happen. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe to get involved. And don't forget, Top 11 football management game, free to download. Check it out. You'll love it. You'll absolutely love it. Give it a go. Thanks for watching. Take care.